Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Today of course was the Destiny 2 gameplay premiere, and we learned a lot of information about what we can expect in the next game. Earlier today I posted a video that breaks down everything we learned in a comprehensive list of 7 major bullet points. If you missed that video, click the link in the description to watch that now. Otherwise, we also got a gameplay reveal trailer, which is chock full with a lot of good stuff. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to skip past the cinematic portion of this trailer, since it is simply a truncated version of the opening campaign mission cinematic. If you want to watch that in its entirety, I'll leave a link in the description below, but for the purposes of this video, we'll skip forward to all of the gameplay stuff and break it all down in glorious detail. Let's get into it. Alright, this is the first place I want to stop. Here you can see one of the sort of drop pods that the Red Legion are using to deploy their ground troops. If you missed the first campaign mission called Homecoming that they demoed during the stream, I highly recommend at least watching that. It's pretty cool to see these sort of fly across the sky and land in front of you with Cabal spilling out of them. And here we get a good look at the Cabal melee class of enemies called the Cleavers. You're definitely going to want to stay at distance against these guys. They're probably going to be majors, and it's definitely going to take some team fire to take these things out quickly. Here we have Commander Zavala, and from the atmosphere, I believe this is taking place in the new destination of Titan. This is where Commander Zavala has gone to sort of regroup himself or to grieve with the fact that they've lost the Traveler's Light. So it seems pretty integral that you have to seek out Commander Zavala and help him regain his strength. It's also important to know that we get some kind of light back at the beginning of the game, as you can see a ghost floating next to us, and also during the Vidoc that we saw in the stream, Zavala does make reference to us starting to get our light back.
But if we attack together, we can take back our home.
Next up, we get a look at some of the new armor pieces available for the different classes. One thing I'm really liking is the amount of detail that I'm seeing in the Titan armor. That makes me pretty hopeful for higher resolution textures than we had in Destiny 1.
Oh, we died trying.
Here's a shot at one of the first new destinations in Destiny 2, the European Dead Zone on Earth. I'm definitely very curious to find out what that structure is off in the distance. My guess is it's maybe some kind of Vex structure. It's hard to tell. It's not typical of what you see for the Vex, so it'll be interesting to see if we have to explore that and figure it out. It's kind of hard to tell what this is here, but it's essentially a Sentinel using his shield to sort of thrust forward with his shield, using it as protection. It's very similar to how Captain America likes to exit windows. The cool thing that I'm seeing about all of these roaming supers is that they all seem to have different sort of move sets. At least we know with the Sentinel shield, we've seen it used for defense, we've seen it thrown at enemies, we've seen it used simply to whack people over the head, and now we're seeing it used to burst through a group of enemies. Here I wanted to pause for a few reasons. One, the Titan armor looks absolutely incredible. I really want this set of armor. You look like some sort of Viking barbarian. On top of that, he has a really cool looking sword on his back. This makes me really excited for the potential of different kinds of melee weapons in Destiny 2. And here's that same Titan shooting a very interesting looking hand cannon. I believe that this trailer, as you'll see a little bit later on, is riddled with the brand new exotics, and I think this is one of them. This weapon looks way too unique to be a typical Foundry weapon. And here I'm simply stopping to show that it looks like sparrows are still around in Destiny 2 as the primary mode of transportation across the gigantic destinations. Now, whether or not we'll see different kinds of vehicles like ATVs and the like is still yet to be seen. And speaking of different vehicles, it looks like we see one of them right here, which looks like a personal land tank. As you'll see a little bit later in the trailer, you definitely pilot this tank, but I'm sure it only shows up during scripted moments during the campaign, and maybe during patrol. We'll just have to wait and see. Here I wanted to pause to show off the new concept of the class abilities. We learned from those who got a chance to play the game that this is something that exists for every class. In fact, thanks to some pictures that were taken during the event, we can see that this ability belongs to the Gunslinger, and it's called the Marksman Dodge. In fact, there seems to be two different versions of this. In this picture, we can only see that there is one version active right now, which will also reload your equipped weapon while dodging. It looks like they managed to maintain one of the best parts of the Night Stalker subclass, and it should behave quite similarly. Here's just another piece of the cinematic during the Homecoming campaign, where we transition between the tower and one of the Cabal ships. I only really paused here to mention that we still don't know whether or not we're getting space battles or any kind of ship battles in Destiny 2. Maybe they're keeping that as a surprise for later in the summer.
Alright, Guardian, time to kick 'em where it hurts.
Here is what I believe to be another exotic weapon, an exotic shotgun. It has these elemental sort of nodes on the side similar to the Thunderlord, and it shoots basically electricity. Here we get another look at that personal land tank. It doesn't look like you'll be able to get more than one person in them, which is fine. We also see a Hawk-A sniper rifle possibly in the foreground, and that of course again reinforces that the weapon foundries from Destiny 1 are back. This one looks like it might be a new Monarchy weapon, as you see a very tiny new Monarchy logo on the stock, but it's strange that the weapon is green instead of red and white. Maybe we have weapon skins this time around. Now, all of the gameplay in this trailer are without the heads-up display, but this is very clearly a third-person shot of you driving the tank. Again, I wouldn't expect you to be able to summon this at will. I think you'll just find them around the destination, kind of like the heavy pike. And here is what I think to be a exotic sniper rifle, which has a very, very unique scope. And if we let this play through, we'll get another shot of that rifle. Again, a very unique design, and I highly doubt that this is just a simple legendary weapon. This definitely screams exotic. Now here's another detail on the Sentinel that I noticed. When you deploy the shield, you sort of instantly gain a new one, so I'll be interested to see if you can sort of combine different sorts of attacks during your super. And this is, of course, Ikora Rey being an absolute badass. Again, to reinforce the sort of what looks to be the main structure of the campaign, we have Ikora Rey going off to Io, which definitely seems to be the most mysterious out of the new destinations. We have Zavala going to Titan very appropriately, and then we have Cayde that went to Nessus. A few things to note here. First, it looks like this is one of the new strikes, the Inverted Spire. In addition to that, we see the Titan using one of its class abilities. In this case, it belongs to the Striker Titan, and it's called Rally Barricade. I'm not sure which one of the barricades we see in the trailer, but the Rally Barricade reads that it produces a small barrier by holding circle that allows you to peek over it while aiming down sights, and instantly reloads your weapon when you take cover. I'm definitely very happy for them adding this sort of third slot of abilities into the game. Will definitely help vary up gameplay and make it feel more strategic. Now, in this shot, I'm not too sure about what we're looking at. It looks like some sort of blade that the hunter is holding, but I'm not sure exactly where this is coming from. I'm not sure if this is a combat ability or a weapon. And the reason I'm not sure is because of the way it's sort of being wielded in this shot right here. The hunter is using the knife upside down, very similar to the way Arcblade works, so it'll be interesting to see what this actually is. Here we can see the Gunslinger throwing his throwing knife, which of course brings up the topic of subclasses again. I'll be very curious to see if we start out with one of these old Destiny 1 subclasses, or if we have to regain it later on. Based on this being the first mission, I'm guessing it's the former. Here we see a couple of those beast enemies attacking. They definitely look very creepy and should be really fun to fight against. Here we have a good shot of the Arc Strider, which is the Arc subclass for the Hunter. In my previous highlight video for the Destiny 2 reveal, I mentioned that this is Arcblade meets Darth Maul. One of my least favorite parts of the current Blade Dancer is the way they move around. It's not the most graceful way, and it looks like they've solved that problem with Arc Strider. Here we have a good look at one of the new weapon types for Destiny 2, the grenade launcher. It was definitely the weapon type I was hoping to see the most, and I'm definitely very happy to see that they're very devastating weapons. This one appears to be made by Amalon, and I really believe that this is again another exotic weapon. It looks very unique, but maybe that's just how Destiny 2 is, filled with unique looking weapons. Now, I wanted to freeze here to show off this Gatling gun, but also to bring up another interesting point, in that it seems like they may have scrapped what we know as the machine gun from Destiny 1 and replaced them with these Gatling guns. Not only that, but they've also seemed to place them in the kinetic slot, which is where all the rest of the primaries are. It doesn't show that here because this trailer, again, doesn't ever show the HUD, but if you do go back and watch the stream where they played through the first campaign mission, you can very clearly see that the Guardian switches over to this weapon, but it's in its kinetic slot. Them changing up the weapon slots to kinetic energy and power is definitely the aspect of the game that I want to learn a lot more about. Now here is what I believe to be one of the strikes that take place on Nessus. As we learned during the stream, Nessus is a planetoid that has been all but converted into a Vex structure. It looks like whatever this mission or strike is, you have to venture deep into the planet's core. Here's another really cool shot of the Sentinel holding his shield up, protecting the hunter behind him. I always hoped for a super that would give us a sort of mobile Ward of Dawn that you could shoot through, and it looks like this is pretty close to that.
Am I right? Am I right or am I right?
Now, this is a very interesting shot. I'm not sure at what point during the story this takes place, but it looks like some sort of Cabal superweapon. It looks like it's either sort of pulling in material from outer space, while also pulling in energy from the sun. It's definitely curious that the trailer ends on this, and if we let it play out for a little bit longer, you see that it sort of looks like it's about to blow up what I believe to be Mercury. Assuming, of course, this is our solar system, that's the only planetary body that is that close to the sun. Hopefully that's not the case. It would suck to see a planet get destroyed, but of course, we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, that brings us to the end of the trailer. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed my breakdown, and subscribe for continued Destiny 2 coverage, and I will see you all next time. Number 6 is a brand new social feature that takes advantage of clans called guided games. To make this possible, Bungie has fully integrated clans into Destiny 2. You can now join clans, manage your roster, and even set a custom banner. On top of that, there will be clan exclusive rewards and achievements that every member can contribute to.